Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
on Kids Express!
Thank you for joining us today for Kids Express. Our guest today loves to share Jesus through gift of food. Stay tuned to find out how. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I'm Sofia. Can you guess where in the world Taste Guest comes from? Can you identify which country? If you guess the country of Colombia, you're correct. Let's welcome Victoria.
Victoria, welcome. It's so good to see you. So I have to tell you folks at home, sometimes we take for granted Wi-Fi. And I have to say that Victoria had to travel about 50 minutes. Was it about 50 minutes? Is that about right? To come and just to get Wi-Fi. And then they thought they had Wi-Fi and they went knocking door to door to find somebody that would have the appropriate enough Wi-Fi or to be able to have this program. So I really appreciate you making the big effort to do that. So she lives in remote parts of Colombia, and so sometimes Wi-Fi, we take things for granted here in the United States. But so tell us a little bit about Colombia.
Well, Colombia is known as the gateway to South America, and people plant a lot of coffee here. We also export a lot of flowers like roses and orchids, and we also have a lot of the Amazon rainforest, and we can find pink dolphins here, and it has a lot of biodiversity.
It does. I think those pink dolphins, I don't think I've seen too many of them.
Me either.
I think what's interesting about Colombia as well is I think 70% of the emeralds, you know, the special jewels, come from Colombia around the world. I mean, so that's kind of special that there's a lot of mining that must happen there to be able to facilitate 70% of all the emeralds. That's kind of neat. So what do you like to do there in Colombia?
I like to sew, I like to cook, I like to bake, I like to sing, I like to listen to audiobooks, to audio stories. I like to explore nature, I like to go swimming in waterfalls, and it's very peaceful.
That's
cool. What do you sew?
I sew my own clothing and clothing for other people. And right now I'm sewing a little dress for a 3-month girl.
Aww,
that's special.
Yeah.
Tell me about what are you doing in your community to share the love of Jesus?
I like to give cooking classes to other people that maybe don't know how to make vegetable, plant-based milks, also vegetarian foods, and easy things that they can do at home and that they'll enjoy.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's really neat. You are actually involved in teaching a class, cooking classes?
Yes.
How many people attend some of these classes?
About 10 people.
About 10 people, and that still makes a difference.
Yeah.
So what kind of recipes did you cook for them? And did they get to participate too?
Yes, sometimes. I taught them to make products like soy milk and tofu and yogurt, and also other kinds of milks. Vegan food like pizza, lasagna,
That's interesting. So is there anything else that you do in your community, or how did you get all the food? Did you buy all the food, or did you grow some of them?
We plant corn, beans, yellow potatoes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Lettuce, vegetables.
So you grew most of your own vegetables and then shared them at the cooking class? That's pretty special.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
It is. So what was the biggest thing? Did you have a question for her?
Do they have to pay for the class, or do you give it free?
No, it's free.
Oh, that's nice.
So what's the best thing that you learned from teaching a class?
Sometimes patience, because there's people that learn too fast. So you got to be patient with them and explain and be on time, because if you're not on time, you can get things burned.
Oh yeah, being on time, talking about timing and stuff. So yeah, that makes it, that's one important value for sure. So what, if there was one character development that you feel like Christ is working on you, what would that be?
Punctuality, being on time.
I think that's something that all of us can work on. Do you have any situations when you haven't been punctual?
Sometimes if I sleep in a little too late, then I'm like in a rush and I have to be like, oh no, I'm about to be late.
I can identify that, because when I'm late for something, then you're always in a hurry and your stress level gets big and you're like racing, and that's when you make the most mistakes. How about you, Victoria? What happens when why do you say that you wanted to be more punctual, and then give some examples?
For example, when I'm cooking and I turn on the pot and then I start chopping things and I go, oh no, the pot is burning. So I have to do things in order on time so things don't get burned, or when I have to do things on time, just like making a time for everything and being more organized.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Being organized takes some responsibility on that as well, because when you have things in place, that helps your punctuality be on time, or, you know, to be on time, because people are depending on you for these different things, right? So I'm wondering, you know, when I'm late for something and I know I have a big day ahead of me, what are some things that you might do to help you be more punctual?
Have like a list and have a timer for each thing to like write a list down and have the time ready so you know how much time you have.
That's a good point, knowing exactly how much time something takes and how long it takes you to do that. And sometimes you'll find that, because you might guess, well, something takes 20 minutes to cook, but you have to estimate maybe another 10 minutes so that you have the time allotted to make something. For example, like when you're cooking. What else is something that you might do? For me, sometimes it's planning on what I'm going to wear the next day. Do you ever plan out what you're going to put it outside?
Sometimes, like when it comes to Saturday, Friday, my clothes, and then on Saturday I can be all ready, not be like
ready for Sabbath.
Yeah, which clothes should I wear?
Because that's, again, you're always scrambling for something to wear. And then sometimes you need to revise that list that you were mentioning. Sometimes we want to make a list and we say, oh, I'm going to get 10 things done today. And then you realize you can't get all 10 of them done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of things.
It is a lot of things. So Victoria, what do you do to try to be on time or to work on that punctuality?
I try to set like alarms for when I'm doing things, or also planning what I'm gonna wear the next day or what I'm gonna do this day, and be more organized on my time. You know, our parents are a good indication, because I know my husband, whenever he says something's going to only take 20 minutes, I know I have to multiply it by 3. Have you ever noticed that there's some people I'll be right there, but they're not quite there?
Yeah.
And then you learn, the more time you spend with people, that sometimes it takes a longer time to do something.
Yeah.
So yeah, have you found that out too with your family?
Yes, they say, I'll be there in 20 minutes, and then you have to multiply it, because they are never on time. You know, I'm thinking of a craft we have on our 3ABN Kids TV.tv website, and here's a clock that you could actually make.
That is
and
so
this
cool.
one says, a friend at all times. You know, there's times when we have our friends and we're not as punctual as we need to be. And then we lose that trust of our people, because people are depending on us. And the more we gain responsibility, the more it is important to be punctual.
Yeah.
Do you think Jesus was punctual?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and I see Jesus as taking time for his friends. And sometimes we are in such a hurry to do things, but it's also knowing when to take extra time. And so sometimes, even though you might be late for something else,
and you need to be punctual, there's times where you have to allot sometimes to be friendly with somebody, to take that extra time with them. Is there somebody in your community that you like to take extra time with?
Yeah, there's a sister's daughter that I like to spend time and with her and maybe cook or do stuff with her.
That's cool.
Yeah. So what is one thing that you've learned about, do you go to school at home or at school at a physical school?
I do homeschool.
You do homeschool. So you haven't had the time to follow punctuality at school.
Yeah, because you can do homeschooling. You don't have to be like on time rushing to go to school, because when you go to school, you have a time where you'll get a tardy. But when you homeschool, you don't have anything like
So what do you do to be on time or punctual with your schoolwork then?
I like to start early, do my homework in the morning so I have time left in the afternoon to do other things. Because if I wait till the afternoon and I'm already tired and I don't want to homework, well, it doesn't work out.
Right. You know, there's a time for everything, and I'm so glad that God realizes that we need to have time for special events. And it reminds me of Ephesians 5:15 through 16, and it says, "Look carefully then how you should walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of time, because the days are evil." So if we just put things off, what happens?
When we put things off, we get disordered in our schedule, and everything will be late if we don't do things on time. And it's very important to be on schedule and not do things whenever you want or whenever you have time.
Yes, we do need to use our time wisely, because people are depending on us, right?
Yeah.
Especially like your cooking class, they're depending on us. And so there's certain things that we can do. I
Yeah.
think it's time for our questions.
Oh, yes. This question is for Aunt Francine. It comes from New York. I have a friend who seems very sad lately, but won't tell me why. What can I do to help her if she won't talk about it?
You know, sometimes we have friends and they have something that's so secretive that they either can't tell you or they were told not to, or maybe they're embarrassed. But you know what? When you have a really special friend, it's important to still make that time and say, that's okay that you don't tell me what's bothering you.
Sometimes they just can't tell you.
And that you can tell that they're physically sad. And you know, Jesus wants us to show compassion no matter what they're going through, and to think about how you can encourage them, and sometimes just making something nice for them or giving compliments and trying to cheer them up.
Yeah.
Things that you can do for your best friend, or maybe even making a joke. But you know, taking the time for our friends is very important. This reminds me of a craft that many of us could make at home, and you can find it on our 3abnkids.tv website. And this is a clock, and you know, it says here, a friend at all times, because you know, being a friend is not always convenient.
Yeah.
And we need to be showing punctuality, being mindful of the time, showing compassion, again, making time for our friends, and showing that compassion and kindness that Jesus would want us to have. Yeah, so is there something that you can think of that we can do to be kind?
Well, if somebody doesn't have a friend, you can ask them, hey, do you want to play with me?
Yeah, so making time and finding people that need that encouragement is a big way. So I hope that you can redeem the time and use your time wisely, because we enjoy using our time wisely. Thanks for joining us on Kid Express.